Won't talk for Al, but we love being here, and we love being a part of this community. I did, however, have to talk for Al when he was young, and I mean by that, I have known Al all of his life. He has not known me all of mine. 13 months after I was born, he was born, which meant we were close to being interfraternal twins. We gave our parents a handful, as they would well admit. And I had to say things for him, and I could. He would go, and I'd say, he wants his food. And then he would go, and I'd say, he needs his shoe. And then he'd go, and I'd say, he needs to go to the bathroom. And one day, and this is true, until he was 3 years old, he never said a word. And one day, when he was 3, I wasn't in the house, I couldn't take charge for him. Mom was in the kitchen cooking some exotic dish, and nobody was around, and he was sitting in a high chair in the living room, and out of the living room came, "I want to get down." And Mom was shocked. And she went in there. And here he was, speaking. And he has never stopped. You seem to have a great deal of pleasure out of that. I don't think it's that funny. But it's true. It's true. No, it is. I did not speak. But I'll give hope to a lot of people out there. There's a quick one, you know, the difference between a horse race and a political race. In a horse race, the entire horse runs. And the two guys in the penitentiary in another state, and one said to the other, the food was better here when you were governor. But there was a favorite that Dad had. He says an old rancher out here near Ranchester was stopped, and he was going too fast on an old truck. And the policeman and the highway patrolman pulled him over and he said, "Don't you have a governor on that truck?" And the old rancher said, "No, that's manure you smell." We would play, we would slide down Linden Hill. Now, what's vastly encouraging to me, and I think that, is I think that a guy or a gal can kill himself on that hill just like they could in our day. They used to saw off the handle off of spades. The janitors did this, the custodians. And then you'd sit on this spade. And then you'd put your feet out and you'd go down that hill. And the place you'd stop was right on the brick wall of that. He goes up. And in the summertime, you could take a piece of cardboard and go down on the grass. I went down the hill with the spade. I was climbing back up, get a vision of this. And I had the spade this way, so that it was pointed up like that. It was an icy slope. I slipped. I was 12 years old. And this spade went right there, just above my eye, and the blood gushed out. And I thought I had lost my sight, when in fact I had only lost my mind. And they put Epsom salts. You remember that stuff? We still have it, I think. So they packed. Wouldn't have had mustard plasters, but they did us good. But remember, there was a walk. There was a steps down to Linden School from the hill. Yes. Oh, whatever happened to those? Are they still there? Are they there? Steps. Oh, there you go. Well, it was a great place to play. And another great place to play was the gully. So all the gully kids were there. That was Nancy, Jimmy Benson, and dear Jim, I don't know whether Joan is, but Jimmy Benson, I've been thrilled to watch his granddaughter play at the University of Wyoming. Just made all conference as a freshman. Heaven's sake, and I can remember Pam playing before. I think Pam must have taught her a while. We have never sung in public, and now you're going to find out why. Big It's kind of like Homer and Jethro. Our music is better than it sounds. That's what they said about Wagner's operas. It's better than it sounds.
No, but Jay, could you give us a little light on the podium over here?
All the way so we can track it. Headed down life's ruddy road, lots of things I've never known, and because of me not knowing, I now find trouble died on my trail. Spent the next 5 years in jail. Should have read that detour sign. Detour, there's a muddy road ahead. Detour, they don't mind what it said. Detour, all the bitter things I find. Should have read that detour sign. Detour sign. Detour, there's a muddy road ahead. Detour, they don't mind what it says. Detour, all the bitter things I find. Should have read that detour sign.
Anyway,
dear old George, I remember walking down the street one day, cold as the devil.
colder than Christian charity. Well, I tell you, it was so cold and trying the other day, I saw a lawyer going down the street with his hands in his own pocket.
Well, George was coming down the street, it was cold, I had no hat on. And George had this big sort of flat hat, Russian hat. I hadn't seen him for 2 years, and we had just come to Sheridan. And cold as the devil, he was walking one way, I was walking the other. And instead of saying hello or anything else, he came by me just close enough and said, "Cover your ears, you old fool." Or now, we went to the university. And you played football there and basketball, and I went on a basketball scholarship, and I had a lot of fun, particularly in the third year when I dropped basketball to study, and instead of studying, had some wonderful parties for quite an extended time. So Dad, who knew the registrar, people knew Ralph McQuinney, who was registrar of the University of Wyoming for 45 years, and who was, in fact, associated with the university for 75 years, died at the age of 97. Dad was a classmate of Ralph's, and Ralph was an exceptional guy. He spoke with an underslung jaw like that. And Dad came down and said, "Ralph, how is Pete doing? How is he doing in his coursework? How many courses is he carrying?" And Ralph, who knew the whole story of everybody, jutted out his jaw and he said, "Well, Sim," he said, he's carrying one and he's dragging four." I had the privilege of serving in the legislature with Carlton Perry, Vic Garber, Lynn Dickey, and Tom Kinnison, and Fen Downey.
Well, they were there in my time.
And they were there in your time, and I was a perfect green...
And Larry Yonke.
And Larry Yonke.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a perfect green pea. Huh?
Schwartz.
Schwartz. Okay. And I was a perfect green pea. I was going to tell this story. And
you are telling it.
I'm now telling it. Okay, and so old Fen, he said he was joking, and he was a good practical joker. I was a perfect green pea, and he said, "Well, Simpson, you're just brand new here. What do you think of this whiskey bill?" And I said, "Well, if we owe it, we ought to pay it." It's just a delay.
All right, tell them that we have to learn this.
This song,
we didn't have to,
but it was a song that was sung during college days, and many of these, it used to be, and I think this is true in Sheridan High School, I think it was true where there was a lot, probably more singing. Now, it is hard to harmonize to rap music, but there was a lot of singing, 4-part harmony, that sort of thing, and I noticed that the songs have literally disappeared. Some of the old camp songs and one thing and another. Well, this is an old college song, and if it strikes your fancy, we'll copy out some sheets and send it to you. But we need to keep these things alive. Now, you may not want to keep this one alive,
but you were fueled in that situation because beer was a dime a glass. Ham's beer draft like that for $1. Just put 10 of them right there.
He knew all those things.
Well, Jay,
it's got to be sentimental song. Here we go. When a man first loved his little lady love, and he phones around her jaw all the while. But he loves her for a mother and a sister and a brother till the old man comes to the door. Takes a pistol from his pocket, swears he's gonna cock it, blow out his teeny-weeny brains. But the daughter says he mustn't, so then of course he doesn't, and the loving goes on just the same. Now the Kappas, they all love it, the Katies are above it, the Tridots have a finger in the pie, but the Pi-Phis are so haughty, they say it's very naughty, but you bet your boots to do it on the sly, so do I. So boys, stay away from the girls, I say, and give them plenty of room, lots of room. For when you are wet, they will hit you on the head with the bald-headed end of a broom. They'll cross-eyed baby upon each knee, and a wife with a pimple on her nose. Good God. Married life ain't what it's cracked up to be. When you gotta wear holes in your hose, some do, some don't, some will, some won't, some might, some night, when they're tight in the pale moonlight.
Nick took about 10 minutes there off the push there.
That's true. That's
but you know, I think we could end it up about a little after 9, a few minutes, and then have a, I don't know what they're having, but I know that we're going to have one. Well, the older you get, you just take maybe a glass of port to replace the blood that you've lost through evaporation during the day. Our grandmother did that, but yeah, I think you should do it if you're ready.
I don't know whether I have done this for a while. Here's this.
You were here from your post.
So with that, I'll show you background. We will now render our last song. Well, not the last. It's the battle's noise, or maybe it's we remember when we were 2 little boys.